Let's say you want to bake a cake and the ingredient list has flour, sugar, baking soda, vanilla, whatever else you need to bake a cake. I'm not a baker, but you need to bake it for 20 minutes at 400 degrees. Well, let's say you want to speed things up because you're in a rush, you want to get done sooner, and you put it all the same ingredients in, but instead of baking it at 400 degrees for 20 minutes, you bake it at 1,000 degrees for 5 minutes. You're going to be left with a burnt shell of a cake with a very dry inside of a cake. And it's just going to fall apart. It's not going to be very tasty at all. So you have the same ingredients, but you just try to speed up and condense the time and jam pack it all, and you destroy the whole thing. And I see a lot of coaches make this exact same mistake when trying to rush things and do things too quickly. Now, let's think about it from a bit of a bigger perspective too. If you can broaden your time horizon and think from a longer term perspective, let's say you have two coaches. One is just trying to make a bunch of money right now. One is just so focused on the weekly, the monthly Stripe screenshots and really just trying to make as many sales as they can, just like get as many people through the door. The other one is like, how can I build the best product that is the most repeatable and consistent and predictable, that gets the best client results in the industry, so I can be around for the next 5 to 10 years? Who do you think is going to come out on top? Who do you think is going to win? The person who is trying to bake the cake at 1,000 degrees for 5 minutes and just do it in a really big rush right now? Or the person who's trying to build a proper, strong foundation and do it right? They could have the exact same information, everything else, all the exact pieces of the puzzle could be the exact same, but the way that they do it differs, and it makes all the difference. So when you look at like this analogy that I got this from Taylor Welch from one of his podcasts. I was studying a lot of his stuff lately too. He built traffic and funnels to, I don't know, like 60 million or something like that. So a lot smarter than me. But nonetheless, he was saying it's like time is an ingredient as well. And when you try to rush things and do things where you take a long-term hit in order for a short-term gain, that's when you're not going to be around for very long. You're going to make stupid decisions. You're going to turn things off that are working, or you're going to stop doing the things that are working. You're going to chase shiny objects, trying to just optimize for the short term to kind of make you feel a little bit better, right? Like sometimes I get caught up in this too, and it's really important to kind of remind myself a lot, and journaling helps a ton. Just whip out the journal to start writing. But journaling helps it helps me stay grounded in this sense of like, all right, what would 8 or 9 figure Jeremy do? Would he worry about this? Like maybe it's like a dry week or like a dry month or slow month or something like that, right? Which happens. It's totally normal. But nonetheless, like if I know my focus isn't on front end sales, which is not right now, like I just hired a couple new team members. I hired somebody else to help build out like real proper back end client success systems as well. So I'm like 100% focused on the back end. And then probably within the next few months, I'm going to absolutely scale the piss out of the front end. So I'm not even worried about that. But if I was so focused, like, oh, I made less money this month than I did last month, like a lot of people would go straight into panic mode, right? And have stupid like promotions and discounts and all this stuff. And it just doesn't really make any sense for the long term because it just devalues your brand. And one of the best ways to separate yourself as a coach is your brand, because nobody can steal that from you and copy that. So that said, like when it comes to building a business that's a real business that sticks around for a long time, your reputation is very important. And a lot of the times when you sacrifice the long term for these short term gains, then you damage your reputation because you sign up clients who you shouldn't have signed up, and they just don't get results, or like they're just not action takers. They don't actually do much, or they're just a pain in the ass to work with, and they're just a bad client. I've learned the lesson the hard way many times that no client is better than a bad client. Just the energy that they suck from you is just, yeah. So don't be a bad client, please. And do everybody a favor. But nonetheless, that said, if you optimize for the short term because you get put into a scarcity mindset, because you're just thinking so narrowly, it's going to damage you and your business, and you're not going to be around for very long at all because you're missing that one ingredient, time. A lot of things just take a little bit of time to start working. For example, one of my clients, he's a dating coach, started literally from zero. Well, he was doing Facebook groups and stuff for like a year and a half, scaled to, I don't know, 10, 20K a month, something like that. But then he got kicked out of all the Facebook groups and he was back to square one. And so anyways, he'd never we literally had to create a brand new Instagram account because he'd never really used it before. And the first month, maybe month and a half, 2 months was like pretty dry in terms of like he had 0 followers. So it took a little bit to actually build up, right? It took time. And I remember like a couple months in, he's like, hey dude, like kind of getting nervous, like what's going on? I'm not really seeing too much traction. I'm like, brother, like you're doing everything right. You're doing all the right things. All your ingredients are in the bowl. They're mixed together, right? And it's in the cake pan and your cake's in the oven. Give it some time. It takes time for people to warm up and nurture. It takes time for people to kind of get sold and go through your funnel from the top through the middle to the bottom. I'm like, trust me, brother, give it another few weeks. And the people that came to you over the last couple of months will start converting. I can promise you that. Starting from zero, it's a completely different story because like I've got clients that have like, I don't know, a bit of an audience. We launch some stuff. They just have a little bit more authority. The ads hit a lot harder because your organic foundation does actually matter when it comes to ads too. So there's lots of variables, of course. And nonetheless, what did he do? He was patient. He was able to ground himself, get out of his own way. And then he did 40K the next month because the compound effect kicked in and it just shot him right up. So a lot of the times, like we're doing the right things and like our inputs, our ingredients are the right ingredients. We're doing the right things. We're taking the right actions. Sometimes we literally just have to sit back, be patient, and just give it time. Give our cake time to bake in the oven. Rather than if your cake's not done in 5 minutes, rather than waiting another 15 minutes for it to come out perfect, you're like, oh, my cake's not ready in 5 minutes. Let's go make some muffins. Let's go make some cookies. I'm like, maybe those will be ready sooner. Like, you know, it's like when you put it that way, it sounds absolutely ridiculous. But I see so many people do that. They're like, oh, I tried this for a few weeks or like a month or two and it didn't work. And then they go try this other mechanism or like do this other platform or this other ad strategy. And like, they're just bouncing around and like none of them work. And they're like, oh, well, it's all these programs that suck. But sometimes you just need to give it a little bit of time, right? And when you're thinking in terms of like years and decades, days, weeks, and months, even quarters, like they don't really mean that much. And it helps me personally have a lot more like peace and just be a lot more patient and make longer term decisions that will help me dominate for good. Right? Are you trying to get rich now? Or are you trying to get wealthy for sure? Right? I'm trying to get wealthy for sure. Because like, yeah, there's a difference between being poor and rich and wealthy. Big difference, right? A lot of people can get rich online very quickly, but not too many people can sustain that and keep that going. That's what I'm trying to do. So hopefully by sharing these lessons with you, these insights, these thoughts that I have as I build my company up, hopefully by passing this down to you, you can learn from some of my mistakes. We can all just kind of link arms, grow together, and have a lot of fun in the process, make a ton of money and do good work, change a lot of people's lives, create a big impact, serve a lot of people, and just overall be very, very fulfilled in the short term and the long term. So that said, moral of the story from this video, if you have a feeling you're doing the right things, just keep doing them. Your daily inputs will turn into the outputs that you want. Sometimes you literally just need to give it time. There's a principle called the 30-day rule. And I learned this from the book Fanatical Prospecting. I read this like 4 years ago in my parents' basement. But the 30-day rule basically states that like any marketing activity that you do right now, you won't actually see the true effect of this for at least 30 to 90 days out from now. So there's like a 30 to 90 day window where you probably won't see it working very well. But then what happens? The compound effect kicks in and it just launches things up. So a lot of times people don't see results because they simply just quit too soon. So that said, don't quit too soon. If you're doing something that you actually have guidance on, like it's worked for other people and you're doing the right inputs and you're doing it properly, there's one thing to like take action and like do certain things, but if you're doing them wrong, then like no amount of time is going to help. So make sure you're doing the right inputs and the right actions and have somebody help you do that. But as long as you're doing that, then like you're basically going to be successful, and it's inevitable as long as you just give it enough time, right? So that said, hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know down below if this was helpful. If you like these types of videos where I share my insights, my lessons, kind of my thought processes and like kind of like basically journal entries. Because I could do a lot more of these too. And I really like talking about this stuff and really just passing on these kind of lessons. So if you like that too, let me know down below. I'll do more of these. Aside from that, see you guys next video.